Welcome to Book Huddle. I'm your host, Karen Reeder with Readgab. Today, our guests are Kim and Penn Holderness. So many people know them because they are YouTubers and they have a podcast, they have their blog, they have made a family game. I mean, the list goes on and on, but they are absolutely authors, is what we do here is children's book authors. I have read their marriage book and it is a big help to me. Me and my sister will often be like, yeah, stay in the airport, secret contracts. And so we're often throwing the phrases around. And I look forward to getting to ADHD is awesome. But today we're doing the picture book. It comes out in just 2 weeks. All you can be with ADHD. And I can't wait to get into that. But first, I want to take a second. Kim and Penn, can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about each of you.
I'm Kim Holderness. This is my husband, Penn. Penn has this like wonderful, like weird brain that can come up with lyrics and rhymes and music. And this is why I have been dying for him to write a children's book. So that's why I'm really just so excited about this book because I feel like if you can go into his brain, I just so desperately wants to go into his brain because I feel like it looks like cartoon characters in there.
Right.
Like a Muppet show. I feel like we all look like Muppets to him. It's all a musical. It all rhymes all the time. And so he just has this really wonderful gift at looking at the world and making it rhyme and making it funny. And he's the person that keeps us laughing at the dinner table. And he's a wonderful dad. Our kids are obsessed with him. So yeah, I'm pretty lucky.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like this exercise. This is Kim. Kim was born in Florida, lived there for most of her life until we got engaged and moved to New York. She was a very high-end competitive dancer. People don't know this, but she was like an award-winning piano player for a couple of
I was
years.
in second
Did you
grade.
win an award?
Yes, but it was
Award-winning
second
piano
grade.
player, an award-winning
Second,
piano player.
Truth.
Um,
Truth.
second grade, I
yeah,
quit.
yeah. She doesn't sing in our videos, but she's got a beautiful voice in the shower.
No, I don't.
She
She
is an
does
introvert.
dance.
Yeah. She's an introvert, but is the life of every party, which is just proof to people who are introverts that it doesn't mean that you're a recluse. It just means that you get your energy, by doing things on your own sometimes. When it comes to our business, I think you were onto something there. She kind of is the idea generator. She does a great job seeing what's going on in the world, at least beginning the process of turning that into a piece of content. Sometimes she'll hand it off to me, sometimes she'll do it herself, but a lot of the original ideas come from her because she's our 30,000 foot person. She is also a great parent. She just watching her parent a girl in college and the devotion that she's had and the way that she's processed it very bravely, despite someone who lives a long way away, is really cool. She also does a great job relating to our son, even during like this time when it's hard to relate to a son when you're a mom. So yeah, she's awesome.
Yay! All
Yay.
right,
And
perfect.
Megan.
All right, so one of
Never
my favorite things to do is to take a book that I love and get to know
Mhm.
a little bit about an author based on this. So this is
Okay.
called Candy Shop War, and the characters they get to experience these different candies that give them magical powers. So
Oh.
if you each got to make a candy that, first of all, what would it taste like? Because that's pretty important to me in my life.
know.
What power would it give you as well?
Mm. I would say I love watermelon sour patch is my 10 out of 10 favorite. So it
Nice.
tastes like that. And the power it would give me, I would think teleportation.
Just don't like traveling.
Just I love traveling, but I hate the act of getting there.
Yeah,
So yeah, so I would like to go to lunch with my daughter today, but she's 9 hours away. So I
right.
would love teleportation.
Perfect. What about you,
And
Ben?
what was the flavor for yours?
Sour watermelon.
Sour watermelon. Okay. Yeah, I would be straight up chocolate. It'd be like a dark, salty sea salt
All
chocolate
right.
candy. And it's similar as I would want to fly. It's so funny. I've always said I wanted to be a
Right.
bird. And then my dad's like, no, birds are miserable. They're always starving and they're loud and they're not happy, Penn. And they're always like they look really strung out when you see them. But so I wouldn't want to turn into a bird. I'd just like to be
Oh,
me
Flying.
flying.
flying,
But like
flying.
land and
My
be
Yeah.
super.
favorite dreams are when I fly. Like
Yeah.
I
No,
just
I
look
get
forward
like
to those
super
dreams.
emotional also because that happens on planes, just because your
Yeah.
brain gets emotional on planes. For like I
Yeah.
cry during the stupidest movies on planes, but just like looking out the window makes me so happy. And so I think that's what I would do.
Cool.
Oh, awesome. I love it. All right, so tell us briefly, what is All You Can Be with ADHD about?
It's so you've read the original book, I know, but for those of you who haven't, it's a club
Yes.
up in a treehouse where people with ADHD can go. There's like a password to get in. It's kind of a fun riddle that you have to answer. And then when you get in there, you realize that there's a lot of really talented, amazing, creative people who are just like you, but who have also gone through some of the same things that you have. Like for a while, they weren't sure what was wrong with them. They didn't know why they couldn't help but fidget or interrupt friends, or why sometimes when they got sad, it it sort of snowballed into something a lot more intense than when their friends had it. And so it's a way of telling them that they're part of a club now, that if they can admit that some of these things are happening to them, it's the bravest thing they've ever done. And once you admit that and realize that sometimes are tough, like it's time to start learning about the real awesome stuff. I just actually, that was a rhyme from the book. It just came out of my mouth there.
Nice.
Stuff and
Nice.
stuff.
I love that.
It also introduces kids to some of the things that adults talk about, like look at all these famous people who have ADHD who have done well. And also like look at this name. It's not a great name. That name shouldn't define you. It's actually
Yeah.
a name that should be changed.
Yes, I would very much jump on that boat right there. Okay, you have done so much with your time. You guys have got to be very busy. You're hiring people under you just to make all your content creation work. Why create a picture book about ADHD?
We loved the process of creating ADHD is awesome. It took a very long time to do all that research, and it felt like, they tell you to write the book you need, and it's the book our family needed, because we don't talk about it in the book, but my son has now given us permission to talk about it publicly. He was diagnosed with ADHD. Penn very famously has ADHD. So you would think like, oh, my dad has it, we're good. But it was still incredibly daunting to
Right.
hear that. So it was really a book that our family needed. Like we needed to know, okay, yes, there are really hard things, but look at the gifts. Like look at all the gifts that this particular brain gives you. So we were really fortunate. The book sold really well. We would go to these book tour stops, and we were so surprised that, the parents buy the book. The book was, for parents and families,
Yes.
thinking maybe, oh, they would read parts of it with, their teens, whatever. We were blown away by how many 8 to 10-year-olds were sitting there with post-it notes and highlighting, and they were working their way through it. And they kept on saying, when are you going to make a book for kids? When are you going to make a book for kids? And duh, we needed to make a book for kids. And it's always been my dream to have him be a children's book author.
Yes.
It's a really,
That's my dream, is for him to
you
be
know
a
what?
children's book
But
author.
it's such an admirable, ambitious dream that
For
you've got
him.
for
My
me.
dream is for him.
Thanks.
He,
Yeah.
he, when he was like, when our kids were really little, like board book, picture book, he would start reading the book and then he would just be making up more rhymes. I mean, just like
Yeah.
freestyle,
Yeah.
extending. And that's just not a normal gift to have. And our kids loved it.
That's so
So
fun.
the answer of like why a picture book, we want, when those kids are diagnosed, it is very overwhelming. You're going to hear about accommodations. You're going to have to hear about all these special things you need, and what, that you're going to hear a lot of bad stuff about your brain. We want a parent to be able to hand this to their kid, and they can feel some confidence about the brain they have.
Absolutely.
And that being said, I have a couple dear friends who, as adults, like women, are being diagnosed more frequently now because the system is aware that yes, women can have ADHD. I have given my 45-year-old female friends who were just diagnosed this book, and they were crying
Yeah.
because it's just such a like a uplifting, real book. And I can brag about this and say this because Penn wrote the actual rhyming part of the book.
Yes.
Which is the book.
Well, there's
Oh, that's true. The back. Yeah,
I did
There's some beautiful
matter.
stuff at the
I
end.
did the
Yes.
back stuff.
And
Yeah.
it's important and powerful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I teared up reading it. I have two neurodiverse children, one just ADHD, one something else in ADHD. And the one in particular that just got his diagnosis in the spring, he tells people about it and he feels like it's poorly received and he feels so hard on himself. And so as I tucked him into bed last night, I told him we're going to read a book tomorrow and I hope it'll be a good thing for us because I was the same. I was just so teary. And I told him once, I said, would it help you if I went and got my diagnosis confirmed? Because mine's a self-diagnosis. I don't know, but I'm pretty dang sure I'm ADHD myself. And he said, yeah. So I'm getting my appointment set up to go find
Good.
out if I'm ADHD. And it's helped me just constantly as I've been learning about my neurodiverse children and I'm a teacher. I've taught sixth grade. Now I teach preschool
Oh,
because I wanted to
wow.
work part-time. And just like these little kids, like in all ages, they need to know that it's okay. Like I had a teacher just recently when I was meeting with my son's teachers and saying, do you know about the 504? And, are you planning on implementing this? And she looks at me and dead face says, well, this is English honors. As if my neurodiverse child
Can
could
be
not
also very smart.
yeah, who's very smart. He's twice exceptional. I'm like, well, just because he needs accommodations doesn't mean he can't be. So I very kindly said such. Doesn't mean he can't be in English honors. He can do this. He just
Oh,
needs some accommodations. So
oh.
I'd love to talk about, because the podcast is specifically for, parents, teachers, librarians. What's your advice for adults helping other adults come to be
Yeah.
more empathetic and understanding and work better with
Right.
ADHD?
So first of all, thank you for being a teacher.
Mm.
Thank you to anyone who's a teacher. Thank you to anyone who's a librarian.
Oh,
It's
brilliant.
like the one thing we've noticed that people around learning are a lot more willing to want to learn more themselves
Yes.
about this. So like that's goal number one. Like let's give more knowledge and more hope to these teachers and these administrators and librarians so that they can pass that hope and knowledge on to the kids. But now, are you wondering about advice for adults
Adults to give other adults, like,
to
and
give
Yes.
other
it's
adults?
hard
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
that because it's probably going to be unsolicited.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like, how can it be said? You can't have this mindset anymore.
We live
You
in a
shouldn't have in the first
world.
place.
Yes. So we've encountered this, and I think there are quite simply some ADHD deniers because when we were in school, I mean, Penn was just called hyper or a
Right.
space cadet. And so why did you need you don't need a special exam for that. Why would you need that? Now we know that with certain accommodations, and accommodations can look so different for every kid, that it's not cheating. It's not unfair. It's just what this particular brain needs to be successful at the same rate that their classmates are.
Right.
And we have had a lot of discussions with teachers because our son is also incredibly gifted.
Right.
He is so gifted, yet runs out of time on every test.
Yes.
And the way he describes taking a test is, well, then I see this big clock and I hear my classmate is erasing, and then I see this person's broken a pencil, and he hears every little thing in the room, and it gets so overwhelming. So the easy thing is, like, let him go take that test in a hallway. Let him go take a test in a certain,
There'll be another
but
classroom in the building that's empty
put
right
in
now.
another classroom in the building. But that requires resources, right? That requires somebody else being there. That requires, so I'm aware that teachers can only do what they do. But if there's if something small, as if putting them up front or putting them in a specific place to be successful on a test, it is not giving him an unfair, this is not an unfair advantage.
Right.
This is just something that's going to help him reach his ultimate potential, which isn't that the point? You
Right.
know, isn't that the point? And I think if it's one thing if the kid doesn't know the content. So if your child doesn't know the content, giving them extra time is not going to help.
Right.
If your child doesn't know the content, putting them in a different room is not going to help. So they
It'll cause
still
more
need,
stress if they
it's going to
don't.
cause more stress. So I think these conversations, like I could talk for another hour about it,
Right.
are so hard because even with people that are very understanding, and it's their job to understand there's so much to learn. And it's so, this exists on a spectrum. Not every ADHD kid looks and sounds alike. And
Ah,
not, I mean, my kid in certain subjects does not need a thing. It does great. And some, it's going to take them an hour and a half just to read the word problem. So it is, I would hope an adult in a situation that is in contact with children would approach it
right,
with thinking that the parent and the other adults and teachers have the best intentions, that nobody is trying to get an unfair advantage. Like, just
right,
approach it as that,
right, right.
and then we could get a lot further.
Were you asking about an adult telling another adult about
Yeah, yeah,
ADHD?
like talking to
Yeah.
them. Yeah. So just going forward with here's my intention is what you're saying to help this
Right.
child be
And it's,
successful.
I think there might be, so schools might be hearing this and being like, oh, they're just trying to get extra time to on the SAT or
Right.
whatever. They're just trying. Let's just assume we're coming at this with the best of intentions, trying to get the best outcome for our child, and that's what we all want. Like, that's
Right.
what we all agree on.
Yeah.
And ADHD is a real thing. It's not
Yes.
something you can fake. It's something you're born with. You don't develop it by watching too many videos. Like, it's a
Right.
real actual thing. So
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, my husband, when he was a TA getting his PhD before we had our neurodiverse children, he was like, man, it's so easy. Like everybody can get this. And I'm like, well, it's unseen is the thing. You think it's easy to get accommodations, but you don't see what their needs are. You don't see their
right.
neurodiversity. So, like, even
Yeah.
he was there once upon a time before we had our children. And so it's surprising how many
Yeah.
adults out there just don't realize.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Tell us about the process of creating this book because, did you, here you go, pen rhyme and come up with some ADHD advice? Is that how it went?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I think I needed to visualize kind of the situation first. And this was before we got an artist, but if it's a picture book, you have to kind of know what you're referring to. I don't know. You know what? I was always a big fan as a kid of stuff like The Giving Tree. I always like trees. I like trees and stories.
Nice.
I like the idea of something that's bigger inside than it looks like when it's outside,
Bigger
like
on the
like the
inside.
tent from Harry Potter when they went to the Quidditch World Cup, or Mary Poppins'
Doctor
suitcase. Something
Who.
about that as a kid always made me really happy. And I knew I wanted it to have some like pretty intense silliness and randomness. So
Yeah.
those were like the three things that I had to like visualize first.
Right.
So the clubhouse and the tree that was bigger on the inside made sense. And then I knew I wanted to add like sharks and ninjas and cupcakes and
Because those are
Silliness.
yeah,
cool.
water slides, just stuff that, like allows these kids to enjoy themselves while they're reading about
Right.
a neurodivergent disorder that they call it.
Right.
So
Right.
like once that was all set in my brain and I could kind of see it, I really just took the first two parts of ADHD is awesome and boiled them down into a poem. The important parts to me were like part one needed to be like a fun way to get them into this club and explain that they're not alone. Like that's really important when a kid has ADHD to
They
acknowledge,
do. They feel so
yeah,
alone.
they
Speaking
feel
very much
broken,
from
they feel
experience as a
ashamed.
teacher and a parent
Yep.
seeing it.
Yeah. So
Shame.
that was like step one, you're not alone. Step two, not only are you not alone, but the people in here are pretty cool. And then step three, like part of not being alone is understanding your shortcomings and like some of the things that are happening to you. Like why, like, do you cry easily? Do you interrupt people? Do you, like, can you admit that you have this problem and have an understanding? So really like the biggest turning point in the book was when I say, does this sound familiar with the examples we gave? If you answered yes, you were so very brave. And there's a mom, and this I always get teared up when I talk about this, but like that's the hardest part for a kid with ADHD is like understanding, oh yeah, like these things are happening to me. It's because of this. And
Right.
then once you understand that, it's like, and this is what's happened in my life. Once you understand what's going on in your brain, you can flip the script and look at like some of the good stuff that happens because of your brain. And that's really part three. It's not really here's stuff you should do. I think
Right.
that's maybe a later book, hint hint.
Cool. Cool. We're
Um,
excited.
Yeah.
but knowing statistically that an ADHD child gets corrected 10,000 times in childhood by parents and
Right.
teachers, they get beat down pretty bad. And
Yes.
so really the heart of this book is like, let's admit some stuff, but also like let's not spend this time telling them to pick up their stuff.
It's so hard though, because the
It's so
stuff needs
hard.
to be picked up.
That's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine. And that's like I said, that's another book, that's another issue.
Yes.
Just as badly as that stuff needs to get picked up, kids with ADHD need to understand and feel included.
Right.
I will say I hear you though as a mom because I'm like, but he's gotta do it. Like I understand it. So I try to pair, and this is out of the first book, you offer connection, not correction. I
Yes.
like to say correction comes, but the first thing is like, man, you are working so hard at school. I see it. And I know like how hard I'm so proud of you. Beat, talk about that. Hey, will you do me a favor and grab your backpack that you spilled all over the floor? Let's get that together so we can, and it's those sort of those sorts. I try to because my ADHDers,
Yes.
and this is not everybody, when that correction comes, their self-confidence is zero.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty frequent. There's like zero self-confidence if like all they hear is like, but if you look like, God, he is killing it. He's working so hard in school and he did this and he did this. Like, let's talk about like where he's killing it.
Yes.
And then I tried to like honestly, like with all like the correction
Right.
stuff, which is mostly like picking things up. I'm
Right.
like, can you walk into every room and just look around and see what it would look like? What does clean look like to you? Like,
Mhm.
let's can you just look around and
Right.
kind of put it on him. Like, what does that look like? What does finish look like to you? And then kind of let him answer that.
Nice.
But as a mom, it's so hard.
It is. It is. And even like, I feel like I relate. You kind of did see my desk when we were getting this set up. It's a disaster, but I am like, and I know where this is, and I know where this
You
is.
know where everything is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so often I'm like, well, I'm one to talk, but so we do talk about the need though,
Right.
because when he loses something, it's like, well, if we cleaned it up, it wouldn't be
Hmm.
lost.
Yeah.
But I like one of the things that you were saying. I'm often trying to get on these executive summit kind of things, and you were recently on one that I watched. And I love it because there's so many different viewpoints. I like when the host doesn't just try to get all the people who have the same view of
Hmm.
neurodiverse individuals, because I can be like, nope, don't like that one. Maybe I'll keep listening, see if they say something else. Like one really resonated with me about how much time, show me, what does it take to wrap up being done with screens? And so we sat
Mm.
there and showed and was like, okay, first I've got to do this and I've got to, connect with the people that I'm talking to and let them know it's coming. And then I've got to get a resolution here. And it took 20 minutes. And so when my kids are on screens, I'll be like, okay, I'm setting a 30-minute timer. Keep in mind it's going to wrap up. Do you want me to also set a 20-minute or a 10-minute timer
That's
because
great.
it's coming? And so I like that you're saying, first connect, first see that.
Connect. Yeah.
Such a need. They need to feel like they're not always wrong.
And like not in an inauthentic way. Like I think your kid's gonna
Yes.
know if you're blowing smoke. But there
Oh,
is an area
absolutely.
where your kid, I know it, is killing it. Like they're doing a
Oh,
great job
right.
somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every kid is.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right, so you talked about the illustrator who I love, Vin
Yeah.
Vogel. Did I say his name right? He
Really?
he wrote this really cute book that I love, The Thing About Yetis. So tell us about how it was working with an illustrator of trying to convey what you had going on with ADHD thoughts that you wanted pictures of for.
Yeah, so uh, Vin was one of 10, I think, illustrators that our publisher brought to us,
Nice,
just for some examples. And we took a bunch of different viewpoints from our team about like who our favorites were.
nice.
And it was fairly unanimous with him, uh, just because I think his personification of children and situations kind of reminds me of what Kim just said about what I look at when I see the world.
That's how I think
Like
Penn sees the world.
yeah. Um, and just his ability to, without any direction, understand the whimsical side
Neat.
of things. So we saw his original one, and then we were like, hey, can you like just do something about a kid trying to like rope swing up to the top of a tree while there's like shark
There's the
and ninjas
ninjas.
underneath? And he just nailed it on the first try.
He's like, absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't think it took him very long. It was, I mean, obviously there were more crude sketches, but
Yes.
it just felt dead on right. He
Right.
also just on his own accord, without us asking him to, did something that was very important to us, which was portrayed a group of people that were very diverse, both as far as ability is concerned,
Definitely noticed that. Yes.
background. And so like this book's important for everyone, including a lot of cultures who don't acknowledge ADHD as a neurodiversity. So he did all of that intuitively, and so I want to give him props for that.
And that it
Yeah.
was very important to
Yeah,
us. And
we didn't give him instructions about
but
that.
we had
Yeah,
planned on it. But his
Yes.
first version, we're like, oh my gosh,
yeah,
like there's like everybody can, or we hope every kid can see themselves in there. Yeah, to your point, like Penn would give, because we're not illustrators and we don't have a strength in graphic design,
very non-specific stuff.
and
Yeah,
be like, could you make the child seem happy but also frustrated, but this, and like somehow he would come back with like this magical, I mean, it is a gift. It is something AI could never do.
that's so
Right.
true.
Yeah, AI
So
could
true.
never do what he did,
Yeah, it
and
would probably
continues to
break
do. It
AI.
would break AI to like the really random feedback we would give, and every time he just nailed it. So it was a real, it was such a pleasure. It was so fun to work with an
Hmm.
illustrator. Yeah.
That that is so fun. And I love hearing what you gave him and he came back with
We gave him
Not much.
we gave him alphabet soup, and he came
Yeah,
back with like,
a
yeah,
delicious
yeah.
yeah.
meal. I love it.
We didn't give him much. I do think I've never worked with an illustrator before, but it's pretty amazing. I think he read it several times and I think he felt it, right?
Yeah.
Like I think he felt what I was trying to say and what Kim was trying to say and like what we were trying to do. Like that was wild. It is funny that you can put a prompt into AI and have
Yes.
something come out. Like
Yep.
that's the thing everybody does on Google Gemini or whatever.
Yes.
It's way cooler when it's a human being who
Yes.
understands your feelings and your emotions in like a really intimate way.
Hmm.
So that was
Absolutely. Love it. So can you tell me either a favorite line or a favorite image from the book?
yeah, I've got like 20 of them. So, but you
Go
want
for it.
one. I'll give you
Well, just for time's sake.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll
Could
tell
we
you
just read the book?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Publisher would be mad.
my favorite is the part I already told you about when we go through all of the tough stuff.
Yes.
And then you say, does this look familiar to the examples I gave? If you answer yes, you are so very brave. And you see a proud parent back there. And then you say it's braver than getting haircuts in the dark. It's braver than feeding cupcakes to a shark. So we started having fun, just in
Yeah.
case we're getting emotional here. Then we talk
Oh, because I
I
was
was about
emotional
to
for
say
sure.
my favorite is the
the guy.
haircuts in the dark and the cupcakes to a shark, because we went round and round about hair getting braver than getting haircuts in the dark, because Anne Marie on our team, who I love and adore, she has like a 5-year-old boy, and she's like, I'm just afraid that he might read that and try to cut his hair in the dark. And so we went round and round over whether we thought kids were going to start cutting their hair in the dark.
Kids
I'm
are
like,
going to cut their hair if they're going to cut their hair.
that was my feeling.
Also, what about feeding cupcakes to a
I
shark?
know, I'm like, I'm gonna assume they're not
Yeah.
gonna feed cupcakes to a shark, but I was like, my kids each cut their hair in wild ways, and they did it in broad daylight. So I'm like, I don't think that's gonna be an issue. So we kept it in. So it was just
Well, and
really,
you pointed out that that's, I guess it's not an advisable thing to do, but that's brave, that there's something scary about this.
Yes.
it's
There's
scary
something
and it's
innately
brave.
scary here.
We're not saying they should do that.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
something that we're pointing out as scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it for sure. Was there a part that's particularly difficult to put into the book?
I
You mean
I
as far as the production and the layout, or that was just
Anything of the
that felt
creation you choose.
difficult? Yeah. So yeah, Vin did a great job with this too, but really all of the like in order to visualize the ability to come up with a great idea,
Yes.
Like, because so much of an ADHDer's advantage is imagining things that no one's ever thought of before. And
Right.
so taking this great idea and turning it into an actual, like, tangible thing took some time to work out. And once it did, I thought it made a ton of sense. Working it all the way through, like, the great idea was part of innovation, but it also was part of forgiveness and loyalty, and even, I think, even humor. So there was that. There was also, honestly, the next page. I'll show you the next page
Yes.
about being loyal and defending people, which
Yes.
is a wonderful trait of ADHD people, is their loyalty. We went round and round about, standing up to bullies, but also making sure that the bullies aren't going to be bullied themselves.
Right.
And
Yes.
so that image, we landed on this image after several other ones where, like, the bully was kind of, he wasn't happy afterwards. And then we had the conversation about, we had all these conversations that we have with our kids, like every bully has a bully. That was challenging, but I think, like, I'm really happy with all of the resolutions we had to those things.
That's neat. That's neat. And I look forward to reading this book to whole classes because
Oh,
it's not just for the ADHD individual, that so many more people need to understand about ADHD. It's like I've got a couple books. The Girl on the Walls is a novel in verse written by an autistic individual who
mm,
writes about a girl and a haunting, and the
mm.
character's autistic too, but she's, her hope isn't that it's just read by
Right.
autistics. We're seeking compassion here and understanding and knowledge,
Yeah.
helping
Yeah.
other people. And I'm really looking forward to this book just getting in classrooms, not just ADHD homes, but
You're so right. You're so right. And we certainly learned that with ADHD is awesome. The adult book, it was first of all, there were so many teachers and librarians there because they just wanted to know and be better at accommodating these
right,
special
that
kids.
makes
So
sense.
another reason why teachers are they're
Yeah.
so special.
Absolutely. Do you have thoughts? We've talked about that you kind of have multiple things going on in your house, and it's often like this. Like a lot of people have multiple kids. I've got four kids in my own house. In the classroom we have lots of kids. Sometimes I feel like, okay, I'm trying to be compassionate and understanding to the ADHD individual, but what about me with my OCD or my autism, anxiety, whatever else it is, and I need to feel compassion towards me. How do you feel that we work it? Because there's a whole smorgasbord of stuff going on often in a classroom or home.
Yeah, we're off to a good start by finding a catch-all phrase for it: neurospicy, neurodivergent, neurodiverse. We're off to a good start because they all get along. Like,
Yeah.
this is just field research, and I'm sure you've experienced the same thing. People who have ADHD, more than half the time, got something else. Like, it's
Yeah.
we,
Anxiety or
it gets,
autism.
yeah. I'd say 100% of them have some level of it, but it's probably not on the diagnosable level.
Right.
Like,
Right.
have elevated amounts of anxiety for sure. So I think we've started out well with that. I
Yes.
think also all of those things you just described, I would love it if everybody understood that it's not something that you have, it's something that you are.
Yes. Yes. I like that. And it's not something that I carry. The one that I hate so much is I suffer from autism. And I'm like, please don't say suffer.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
just breaks
Yeah.
my heart.
Yeah, I think that, when you ask the question about how you, because as a caregiver, a mother, a teacher, you are giving so much and making, trying to accommodate so these children can be the best version of themselves. And there are so many moments when you're like, but what about me?
Right.
You need to kind of fill your own cup. It is I do not do a perfect job of that. I will say that's like one of the harder parts of parenting and partnering. It is with, like, I have my own stuff. I've done a better job recently, but only because my kids are older and I have more time. But when they were super young, like that was just I did not balance it well at all. But now that I have time, like I can take an hour myself to go for a walk. I can wake up early and meditate. Whereas before, like there's like screaming kids and everybody's crying and had dirty diapers. So like it was just really hard.
And the important thing is seeing and improving, right?
Right,
Mhm.
right.
There. What do you like to tell yourself on the hard days?
Great question. Like this is allowed to suck, is a new one for me. Like this is allowed to suck. The biggest one is like just like to take a breath, like breathe, pause, take a breath, center yourself. And then the last one is that this will pass. So the most of the hard days aren't the hard part isn't you forgetting something or you failing someone with your executive functioning. It's the shame that comes afterward.
Absolutely.
And it's the emotional flooding. Like I would say, and Marcy Caldwell, who helps us write every single book that we do, she's wonderful. I can't recommend her enough. She says that when she diagnoses children with ADHD, 100% of the parents are not prepared for the emotional component of it and did not like 100% of them don't realize that that's part of it.
Right?
Right?
Because you go in and you're trying to get help for your child and you're anticipating there's a good chance this
Yeah.
diagnosis is going to be there. And so it throws you off.
Well, no, I'm not just talking about the parents' emotions. I'm talking about they don't
Oh, for
understand.
the children's
Yes.
emotions.
They don't understand that.
Yes.
Right.
Oh
So
my
like
gosh. Yes.
it really is an emotional regulation disorder, just as
Yes.
much as it is an executive functioning
And
disorder.
then to have them
Yeah.
here's the title
I,
for you.
So I flood. I'm 50 and I flood. I get
Yeah.
really, really like the entire world changes color when
Yeah.
something is wrong because of my ADHD. So I've got to tell myself, first of all, like, hey, you're flooding. This is part of your brain. This is part
Okay.
of what you are.
Okay. Yeah.
This will pass.
Okay. Now follow up to that. What do you hope others will say or think toward you in your hard moments?
Grace, understanding, hopefully, like, but also like I want to be held accountable.
Okay.
I really do. Like I want to be held accountable ultimately.
Yeah.
I hope that in the moment, like the ones who truly love me can understand that like I'm going through some emotional stuff right now and I'm feeling some real shame. And so I think if there's shame, but also I do want to be held accountable.
Right.
I don't want to just say sorry, it's my ADHD for the rest of my life.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Thank you. So I love to end all of my episodes asking my authors to recommend a favorite children's book. This can be something from when you were a child that you read to your children, something you love as an adult, any age 0 to 18.
oh my gosh, I think our kids were into picture books and children's books longer than the age range ever said because I loved them so much. Some of the ones that I've kept are Nuffle Bunny by Mo Willems. I loved that one. The Pete and Pickles.
Yeah.
I forget who wrote
You
that.
want to cry?
Pete and
You want
Pickles.
to
Oh
cry?
my
And
God.
pickles.
Pete and
But
Pickles.
okay.
The Paper Bag Princess, another
Yes.
classic.
Mm.
I have an entire box of children's books that I've saved up in the attic
Yeah.
just because I love them so much.
Nice.
Yeah. You
What
go.
about you?
My one is Where the Sidewalk Ends.
Yes.
It still crushes. It's like super imaginative. It's actually great for the ADHD brain because every page is a new kind of world that you're dialing into.
Right.
It's great humor. The illustrations are bonkers weird,
Yes.
like really weird
We
drawings.
love weird. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
I
is a
do. I do.
compliment.
I do. And you go and it's like it takes you on this journey from humor to sometimes like self-realization. He deals with sadness. He deals with loyalty. He deals with laziness. There's this king who can only eat peanut butter sandwiches. Like he just takes you on all these,
Yes.
hundreds of journeys in this book. And that is probably one of my top five like books, period, still.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much, Kim and Penn, for your time. And just this is a tremendous work that I am so glad is out there. And it sounds like there will be another picture book
I don't know
because
if I can say it, but yeah,
Yes.
Kim has dubbed you picture book author.
I know.
yeah,
This is what we're doing from now on. No more silly videos. Just books.
we'll
Picture
see.
books. Well, and I did want to ask, how did you feel about being dubbed a picture book author since it wasn't your plan?
I really enjoyed writing this. Like
Nice.
it actually felt way more comfortable to me than the first book.
And the one for the
We
adult.
obviously had to lean on a lot of doctors
Yes.
and coaches to make sure that we were saying the right stuff, and researchers. This one, again, we leaned on them, but it was after the book was already written. It felt like a little more in my lane, I
Cool.
guess. Yeah.
Cool. I love it. Well, thank you so much for taking the time for us today.
Thank you. Thank you. It was so nice to meet you.
I hope that you enjoyed hearing about All You Can Be with ADHD by Penn and Kim Holderness. It's just such a beautiful, powerful, important book. I love it so much. I'd like to take a second now and ask you to do me a favor. If you enjoy my podcast, could you please go and rate and review Book Cuddle? It really helps more people to find Book Cuddle. And now you go and have a fantastic week. Read some amazing books.